Manjunath and Dr. Sharon for inviting me over for this talk. And I'll be speaking about research and the need to align research with commercialization goals. And I believe that the faculty here would already be doing research and maybe having an interest to do so in future. And it would be great if we can have this interactive as an interactive session so that it can be more useful to all of us. And before I begin, I would also like to say that the contents of my presentation would basically be focusing on applied research and not basic research. No doubt, basic research, importance of basic research can be questioned because basic research is as equally important as applied research because it builds the foundation of the applied research. And to summarize in one line.
Give me 1 minute to introduce you to the audience.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, please. Sama madam, please.
So my slides, are they now uploaded?
Not yet, madam.
Good morning to another present here. Welcome you all for the second session too. So it is our privilege to introduce our today's speaker, Dr. Yogmaya Verma. Ma'am has a PhD in zoology and she is a registered technology transfer professional and registered patent agent and IP facilitator, and she is a woman scientist from the fourth batch of women scientists CWOSC of TIPAC, a flagship program of Department of Science and Technology DST, and she completed the postgraduate diploma in agricultural technology management NAR 2008, and ma'am has over 11 years of experience in intellectual property management and technology transfer activities, working with technology management units of CSIR, ICAR, and BCIL. Her main interest was strategic innovations and translation of research to products for a better India. She is presently working as Deputy Manager with Biotech Consortium India Limited. So on behalf of management, staff and students of the Department of Biotechnology, the Oxford College of Engineering, we extend a very heartfelt welcome to you, ma'am. Welcome to the session, ma'am. And ma'am, now you can take over the session.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sharon.
Yogmaya ma'am, actually you first open your slide and your slide you make it into F5, then share it.
Okay.
To,
that way maybe it's easier.
Then you share it.
Ma'am, can you share one more time? Stop sharing and then.
Your desktop is shared, the PPT is not yet open.
Okay. So is it visible now?
No, ma'am. Yes, now it is visible. Ma'am, put it on slide share.
Sure.
Slide show.
So is it full screen now?
Yes, madam.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, yes. Full screen.
So once again, thank you, Dr. Manjunath and Dr. Sharon, for inviting me. And I was talking about basic research and talking about basic research and applied research and how basic research, no doubt its importance can be questioned because it is as important as applied research. Else CRISPR would not have been possible unless the entire details of the genetic system was unfolded through basic research. So that is the importance of basic research. But today we'll be focusing on applied research. So I think now my slides are visible and I'll be speaking about aligning research with commercialization goals. So this is one thematic that came to my mind when I was just going through the web preparing for this presentation. And this is what summarizes biotech innovations at this stage, and that is that is aiming to change our future. So I think our faculty would definitely be working in one of these areas, or maybe some new innovative areas, and bringing up new innovations which can lead to development of the nation. And beginning with the importance of innovations in biotechnology, the biotech innovations that have led to that have changed the history of mankind. The two key important biotech innovations that can be mentioned here are antibiotics and vaccines, which have saved millions of lives. And then there are biotech innovations that promise to change our future, and which include biosensors, bioprinting, bioplastics, gene editing, and bioenergy. And I think you can add many more to this list. So setting the context, I mean, we know that our government is spending a lot on research, and this is a significant part of our gross expenditure on R&D, and it has tripled in a decade. And this spending is, this government spending is around 70% of the total R&D funding of the country. And the rest, only 30% comes from the private sector. So what we see here is that 70% of the funding which is coming from the government, and why is the government spending such a huge amount of fund on R&D? And this is the taxpayers' money. This is what it is coming from our pocket. So what is the importance? Why is it that the government is spending so much? Because it leads to the economic development of the country. And therefore, it is really important to look at what are the outcomes of this research and development funding and activities. So when we look at all these statistics and results and outcomes and annual patent reports, we see that we are doing really well in terms of publications. Funding has increased, publications have increased. There are new programs such as Make in India, Startup India to facilitate, to foster innovation. And we are also seeing so much data from research institutes and universities wherein there have been increase in number of patent filings. But what I believe what lacking is we don't see much of IP licensing. And there is very minimalistic data that we can see on IP licensing and especially on IP commercialization. So is it, I mean, when we are funding, when our nation is funding so much of an R&D, is the patent filing or a publication in a good journal, is it an end to it? Is that the final outcome? I believe we need to look at things in a different perspective. We need to look beyond patent filings and publications, and we need to see how we can translate this research that comes out from the public funding and it is licensed to the industry, and the industry works on it and then it commercializes it. And when commercialization happens, there are products that can improve the lives of the public of India, and also it can have a socio-economic impact and finally leading to the growth of the nation. So in that spirit, I am presenting this talk to you. So I also, want to show this innovation funnel before we go to the actual tech transfer part. So this is the innovation funnel when we all know that we have so many projects that are funded, so many ideas, so many concepts. But when these very few of these ultimately get finalized and conceptualized and then approved, and then these get filtered onto final research projects. These research projects ultimately result into fewer innovations, and these innovations again get filtered, and there are few only patent filings that result from these. And out of these patent applications that are filed, you would also know that very few of them get licensed, and even out of the licensed, very few of them would get ultimately transferred into translated into a product. So as a faculty, as an individual, as a PI of a research project, what I would want to, what we would want here is that our research project does not get stuck here or here. We want our project to be successful at all these stages and ultimately come out as a successful product. And that would be a significant achievement for us, not only for us, we would also get a benefit sharing, but then it would also again lead to economic development of the country. So we would definitely be looking at why and what are the things, why these projects get limited here and these are not moving to the next stage, and what is it that we can do that our project is more successful. So we'll begin with technology commercialization. What is technology commercialization? This is a general definition of technology's transfer, and I believe it is innovation is a relay race. It is the innovators who would first develop the innovation, and they have to, in an expedited manner, transfer it to the industry so that they can turn them into commercializable products. So why and when we should do technology commercialization? So again, this I've already put in perspective that we are investing so much in research. We are putting in funding, resources, facilities. The faculties are spending 2 to 3 years on a research project. So there should be some outcomes, and there should be a useful product or a service coming out of it. So if it's a, say, for example, it's a vaccine. So the vaccine should not stay in the lab. It should come out as a vaccine, and it should be deliverable to the public, save lives, and have a socio-economic impact. And also it can generate wealth for the nation, the company who is commercializing it. And the other aspect of this is also benefit sharing. The innovators who would be developing the product or the vaccine or any biotech innovation for that matter, when it is commercialized, there are always policies for benefit sharing with the innovators, and these vary from university to university. So the innovators would definitely be getting a share of this commercialization proceeds. So if say, for example, if it's a vaccine and it has been licensed at a value of 1 crore, then you might get a share of somewhere between 30 lakhs. So then this is one incentive for commercializing your technology. And when you should do it, you should do it as fast as it is possible, because patent life is limited. So to maximize patent life and maximize the benefits from the exclusivity, it should be done as fast as possible. And who can do the commercialization? Inventor can only do the commercialization or tech transfer when the innovation has been developed by the innovator in one's own capacity and own resources. But it is usually the research institute. The innovator is an employee at the research institute, and then the innovation comes out using resources of the institute, and there are university policies guiding the innovations and its ownership. So it would definitely be owned by the research institute, and in which case the research institute would take the initiative of commercializing or licensing. In some cases, when the projects are funded or there are collaboration, innovations are part of collaborative research, then they are guided by the funding agreement or maybe the collaboration agreement. So it is usually good if one of the collaborator takes a responsibility, and this also helps in fast decision making and faster commercialization, because time is of essence in technology commercialization, as at this stage technologies get obsolete very fast. To whom you can license or commercialize the technology can be licensed to a startup. The innovator can also nowadays form a startup to take forward their own technology. Then definitely if it is licensed to an established industry who has the capabilities and ability strengths to take that technology, upscale that technology, and then they have their established marketing network. So it is really easier for them to bring the technology into the market at a very fast pace. Then there, in certain cases, you can also license the technology to government agencies. Am I audible? Hello?
Yes, madam, you are right.
Sorry. Yeah. So if anyone has any query, yeah, please do interrupt me.
We have given them a chat option. They will be posting their questions. So once you finish your presentation, we will discuss it.
Okay, fine. So how do we commercialize or license, take your innovation forward once the innovation is there with you ready? So when there's an applied research and you have your technology ready, you go to your institute, intellectual property unit, or technology transfer office, as the case may be, and there they decide, they do their own patentability assessment and have a suitable IP protection, whatever it may be. It may be a design registration or IP, or in addition you may also need copyright. So whatever the suitable IP portfolio needs to be created around the innovation, that will be done by the TTO and the technology transfer office. Once the IP is protected, then it is the responsibility also of the TTO to take this innovation forward for licensing, because IP filing is not the end of it, and they would approach suitable industry, and when there's a industry who is convinced to take this technology forward or innovation forward, then there would be a licensing deal, and then they would be validating the technology post licensing. upscaling wherever required. They may need to do the clinical validations also. If it is a diagnostic technology, a performance evaluation may be required. So after getting all these validations, approvals, the company would then bring the product into the market. So this looks, the schematic looks very simple, but the process is really complex. So there are ways to commercialize or translate your technology. Once you have your invention, there are some innovators who would want that it may not be protected exclusively through IP. They want that the innovation is put in open, in public domain, so that anyone can benefit from it. And there's example of Johnson polio vaccine, which was published and it was put up for being used by anybody, so that it is put for public benefit. But then there's an aspect here to it which needs to be looked at, because even if you are putting your innovation in public domain, I believe that it is always the industry that is going to take up any innovation to convert it to a product, and an industry is always profit driven. So whether you license it to a company or you just put it in public domain, I mean, it has to go to the industry and who would take it through their own processes. And then you may not be able to control how they are commercializing or what is the prices that they are putting on their vaccine. So just in case if we have a license, we may have a more control over the prices. So the other ways of, I mean, if we are not putting it in open, there are other options such as forming a startup or maybe assigning the technology once, which would mean that you are outright selling your technology to the company and you are getting your money, and in return, I mean, you can jump onto your next research project and you're free from that technology. Now it is up to the industry to whatever they want to do it. And the third most preferred option is licensing the technology to a company who would have the strengths and capabilities to take it forward. So let us now look at the technology commercialization pathway. And with this schematic, I just wanted to show, I mean, we have, I mean, you would have also known that there is a death valley for innovations, and only innovations which are able to overcome that death valley will be able to ultimately achieve their aim of commercialization. Here I've divided this death valley into 4 stages. And I've also showed that innovator is at all stages a part of the innovation cycle and has to be inclusive. And the innovator would be then at a later stage supported by the technology transfer office, and later the industry would join. So these are the 3 stakeholders, three key stakeholders which would be involved in the commercialization pathway. So when we look at commercialization, it always begins with a concept or an idea, and an idea to solve a problem. And to solve a problem, there may be many pathways. So an innovator would definitely look at what are the different pathways for solving this problem. And suppose, just in case, if we are taking for example of the COVID vaccine, so the problem was the COVID-19 disease. So there were many different solutions to the problem. There were vaccines, there were treatments. So you could also bring out a medicine to treat COVID-19, such as remdesivir, or these were the different medicines for treatment of. And the other was, as is more prevalent in case of infectious diseases, would be developing a vaccine. So then for developing vaccines also, there are different routes. You could go for an mRNA vaccine or a DNA-based vaccine or an attenuated vaccine. So there are multiple routes to solving a single problem, and now you have to, I mean, a scientist from their perspective decide which would be the best route. And then they work on it and develop an invention. So it could be a vaccine or a therapeutic. So when this innovation is there, you have worked on it and there's a proof of principle. So this valley is overcome and you have an invention disclosure ready, because this valley wherein ideas get killed, or maybe when you have you have started working on a concept, but then it does not work. So the invention can fail at any stage here in this first valley. But if you have a successful proof of principle or a proof of concept, you have a ready invention disclosure and you can move on to the next stage, or the next stage of technology commercialization, which is IP protection. So when your invention disclosure goes to the technology transfer office of your institute, they would do their prior art search. They would assess the invention again from their perspective, which would be patentability criteria. They may also look at value proposition. And if the invention passes all these criteria, suitable IP protection is sought over it. It could be patent, copyright, or design registration, maybe semiconductor design. So the second valley is the IP protection. If at this stage we have taken care of prior art search, and we have developed an innovation which would, we were looking at the innovation right from the early stage, that we were doing the prior art search and we were sure that this kind of thing has never been invented and there's no state of the art in this case, then we would be easily passing through this valley and we would be able to go to the next stage, which is licensing. So going to licensing, when we have a IP thicket or IP strategic IP portfolio over the technology, then when we go for institutional IP offices, I'm not sure, but I'll speak about perspective from BCIL, what we do here. So when we receive a patent or an IP that needs to be licensed, we first evaluate the technology from 360 on a 360 basis, entire holistic evaluation, which involves the technical strength of the technology. It can be the sensitivities, specificities, the USP of the technology, how it would benefit, what are the advantages over the competitor products. So these are the kind of assessment. Apart from that, we also again look at the IP strength, whether the claims have been properly drafted and whether they would clearly serve the purpose or not. And then we also look at the regulatory requirements, especially in case of healthcare innovations. It is really important to look at the stage of the innovation and the regulatory requirements, because that is a very extensive, cost-intensive and time-intensive process. So once the technology evaluation is done and we are sure that this technology is feasible from commercial point of view, and there are no regulatory hurdle, technically it is sound, and IP is also fine. So then, and the most important to be looked at is there should be a unmet need that the innovation is addressing, a pain point of the customer. So which means that there would be a volume of customer which would be ready to buy this product, the product coming out of this innovation. So once we are convinced about all these aspects of the technology, then the search begins for potential licensees, identifying companies which are working in the same domain and have established expertise in this area, and the value proposition, of course. So once all these are convinced, then the technology is only taken up for licensing. So this is the third valley which needs to be overcome. And for this, overcoming this, the technology has to be commercially feasible from all perspectives. So going to the next stage of the commercialization pathway is commercialization post licensing. So once all these three criteria are met and we find a good company and we have a deal with the company, a license is granted, we receive a upfront fee and there might be other financial conditions, then we go to this next stage, which is commercialization. Then the technology would be taken up by the company in the form of a technology docket. They would be evaluating the technology, validating it in-house. Then there would be need to upscale the technology and take manufacturing permissions, production, and then marketing. And then ultimately the invention reaches the goal of commercialization and get converted into a product which is available for the consumer to buy. So these are the four valleys, and here I would like to emphasize that we as PIs of projects, we need to look at all these four valleys and make sure that when we are at this stage, when we are conceptualizing our research proposal, we need to know that these are the hurdles that would be coming in our way and how we can make it better, and have in mind that what is it that we can do that we are able to overcome all these four valleys and have a successful product into the market. So what is it that can be commercialized? It can be a product or a process, software, microbial strains, or any other thing that can be useful to the industry. These could be processes that can be internally used for industry for enhancing production. So let's now come to the challenges that come across in commercialization of the technology. So first and the key challenge is that of mindset difference between the industry and the academia. The industry has a different direction of thinking, whereas the university thinks in the other direction. So the industry has, when they are looking at commercialization of innovation, they are always looking at prototypes or phase one stage, at least minimum phase one stage, so that they can risk their money and their time for building a product around it. And they would definitely be looking at profitable business case. They will always identify their customer segment first, who would be their buyer. And maybe there's a buyer, clear buyer, but there has to be a significant market size to make it profitable. Then when they are licensing, they are always looking at market exclusivity, which would give them edge over the competitors. But when we look at universities and research institutes, their policy being, their mandate being social impact, they have that mandate to commercialize license the technology to industry on a non-exclusive basis. So that is a conflict that always comes across and has to be mutually agreed, and a midway has to be arrived at. And there's also a difference in the way of working. Industry works at fast pace, fast decision making, whereas in research institutes and universities, there are delays in decision making, because there's a high turnaround time. Getting decisions from committee approvals, committee meetings may take place quarterly, and then they'll have to wait for the decision. So this is the kind of difference in the mindset that the industry and academia have. And once these, I just wanted to put this across to the faculty here, because I would want that faculty should always keep this in mind, that what is the industry looking at, and from the very beginning align the research proposals with the industry expectations. So it would be really good if while building your research proposal, I mean, you can take advisory opinion from industry experts who are working into the same domain. Aligning your research proposal with that best could also be that the proposal could be developed in partnership with industry, and a more better approach can also be where there are sometimes industry is looking at university expertise, because they also don't invest in R&D facilities. So they are looking at innovations coming from university. So they have their mandate also. So if we can find industry who is looking at certain expertise and then matchmaking that with the university or innovator expertise, then such kind of research proposals have a very clear commercialization pathway. So talking about challenges, I've divided these challenges at 2 stages, because at the first stage, when we are looking at commercialization, the first step would be prioritizing the technologies, promising technologies. And when we are prioritizing technologies at BCIL, or when we are doing it in our processes, very few of these technologies are commercially feasible, because we at BCL would take only those technologies which we find commercially feasible to take up for licensing. So what is the reason that out of these so many research projects which have come to the stage of patent filing and then they are rejected because they are lacking commercially feasible? And one key factor is that there is no established market need of the innovation. So that is the irony, because coming at such a later stage and then getting rejected for no market need is a pain point. And if you look at the startup data also, you would also, I mean, it would be, this data clearly shows that majority of these startups fail because there was no clear identified market need. So that is why I've highlighted it, to show that every research proposal should look at the end with an end in mind and see that there's a market need which is being addressed. So there are other reasons where due to which technologies are not found commercially feasible, and these could be IP potential is lacking, maybe market potential is lacking. Sometimes there are technologies which require significant infrastructural modifications for adopting them. So I know about technologies which were really good, had potential, but the industry was not willing to make those infrastructural modifications because it would have costed them many crores. So then this promising technology sits on the shelf. So these are also some of the challenges which we do not perceive at the time of conceptualizing. And then there are technologies which have been built on old platforms. While the industry has now gone far and there are new platforms on which technologies are now being built and brought into the market. So why these challenges come across, why these technologies at this stage get rejected, is because I believe there's a lack of clear research strategy at the very beginning of conceptualization. The research strategy generally involves literature review and not very often patent search. And often the pipeline products are not looked at, or the products that are already in market are not looked at, and definitely industry requirements are not considered. So I've also come across patents that have come to me for facilitating licensing, but when we do our due diligence, we find that there are similar products already available in the market. So then there's no point taking it forward, and the industry is definitely not interested. So when from going back to the first slide, when there are technologies that are prioritized going through all these filters, the next step is their transfer. So when these are transferred to the industry, there are these technologies. The second step challenges, these are very early stage technologies, and especially in biotech, majority of the technologies pertain to healthcare also, and even if they are into agriculture, validation is a critical point. And especially if we look at clinical validation, there would be regulatory approval also required. And when we look at clinical validation from different stages, clinical validation involves preclinical development, wherein extensive studies need to be undertaken on animals, and then only it can be taken up to phase 1, which is first in human trial, and then phase 2 and phase 3. So if anybody has been involved with clinical validation, you would be knowing that it is a process which involves 7 to 12 years and many crores of rupees. So if I have a promising candidate, an antibiotic or any vaccine candidate, and I just tested it in around 50 mice, then and I present it to the industry, then I'm requesting them to put these 10 to 12 years and crores of funding to take this further. So then we really need to have a clear risk-free technology on which industry is convinced to put this kind of a money. But generally, it would happen that industry would look at licensing only phase 1, at least technologies which have been validated to phase 1. So then the innovators, they can also, take their technologies forward at their own end, because there are funding schemes available nowadays. If you go at BIRAC side, there are so many funding schemes which support the early stage technologies, fundraising, but then fundraising is time intensive, and not many inventors would look at it because they would want to jump to the next stage. So these are the these are the kind of challenges that we face in commercialization of technologies. So this is basically a summary of my own experience, which I've seen, and the technologies that I've dealt with, and which could not be transferred or commercialized because of these reasons, and I've tried to categorize them, and I just want to present to the faculty so that they would be knowing that these are the kind of challenges due to which commercialization is not happening, and maybe this can be kept in mind. So I had these promising orthopedic implant technology, dental composite. These were all very good technologies, good IP, good customer market, everything. But nobody was interested to put in money to validate them, because orthopedic implant is a invasive technology. It's a high risk medical device technology, and for this there has to be a phase 1, phase 2 clinical trials has to happen. Same goes for a dental composite. This was a really good technology, and this kind of a technology was not available till date, and it could have been really helpful for the patients because it was solving the problem of shrinkage. So there was no dental composite I could see that could solve the problem of shrinkage, but this one did. But again, when we discussed with the regulatory authorities, we came to know that there has to be a clinical trial, because it would go into a subject's mouth, and then if it is toxic, it could harm. So the entire regulatory part, nobody was able to, nobody was willing to take up. So because of this, these are so many technologies in which, so much funds were put up and good technologies, but unfortunately, these could not be commercialized. So I would also bring to your notice that NBA approval also sometimes comes up as a hurdle in the commercialization of technologies. There was a primary memory epithelial cell technology in which foreign companies were interested, but then they had to take permission because this comes under the purview of Biological Diversity Act, and we would have to share the primary memory epithelial cell line with the foreign company so that they could first evaluate and then move forward with it. But sending the samples to the company would have been difficult. Would need actually permission, and that permission would also be have to be put in by the foreign company. So then that foreign company declined that they would not want to get into this nitty-gritties. So then these two technologies, chlamydia diagnostic kits and ELISA-based kits, these were built on old platforms when they came to us, and when we took industry opinion, they said that comb platforms for developing diagnostic kits are very old, and now they have moved to gold-based platforms. So then these could also not be commercialized. Then there are technologies which we took up, we liaised with the industry. The industry agreed to license, but they wanted to validate, and we facilitate the validation for them. For in-house, we transferred the samples to their facility so that they could evaluate these technologies. But then these technologies failed to perform during the validation. So at this stage also, so many technologies they fail to go to the next step. And ironically, prior publication has still been, I mean, despite so many awareness campaigns of IP, prior publication has been a reason for technology not being taken up for commercialization. And I know of good technologies such as TB, drug-resistant TB drug candidate, and an antibiotic-resistant molecule. So these were also very promising, but then the innovators had published the results of this research in full details, and that was done before filing the patent. So then, the industry would not be interested, because if they invest in a technology, they would want that there should be some kind of exclusivity to the technology. If it's open, then and they invest for 10 years, they bring it into the market, and then it is open to be copied by their competitors. So that is why they are not interested to invest. So in summary, there are opportunities and there are challenges. There are opportunities for innovations, ecosystem building. There is lot of R&D investment by the government. We have good manpower. There are so many funding schemes. There are so many other schemes that are coming, such as Startup India, Make in India. The national IB policy is also now in place, and there are so many awareness campaigns. So the ecosystem or the environment that needs for innovation and its commercialization is very perfect from in these 5-10 years, 5 or 6 years. But then there are challenges which need to be kept in mind, which is lack of validated technologies, lack of trained manpower, and there being no permanent positions in TTOs. There is high iteration rate, and so there's no technology transfer expertise. So even if there are good technologies, there is no one to transfer them. So these challenges I have put up in more detail, and these can be looked at. I'll not discuss in detail. This is a model wherein which shows that what are the key ingredients for technology transfer and commercialization, and I've put it into, or maybe categorized into bundle of three, which is there has to be a promising technology, industry savvy technology, which has an established market need and strong IP potential with a unique selling proposition, which means that it is addressing a pain point or an unmet need. And secondly, there has to be a strong IP portfolio. There has to be strong claims, and it has to be protected in suitable jurisdictions and different forms of IP protection which are suitable to protect it. So selecting suitable jurisdictions is also important. Just in case, for if we take an example of typhoid vaccine, so if typhoid is a disease which affects the poor or maybe the developing countries, so then you have to protect your invention from the beginning in the developing countries, South Africa or Asian countries maybe, or if your invention is more would be more of demand in the developing countries, so you have to suitably protect in those kind of jurisdictions. So further, there would be required technology transfer expertise. So even if a promising technology is there, there has to be a skilled staff or TTO office who can properly package and bring out the USP of the technology, bring valuation of the technology, what would be the financial value that can be communicated to the industry and convinced also, and then definitely negotiations and then deal sealing. So these are the kinds of expertise, especially drafting of agreements, also critical skill required in transfer and commercialization of the technology. So once we have all these key ingredients, these make a mixture or a recipe for successful transfer and commercialization of the technology. So then I would like to share a few success stories. Thomson Edison is known more of we know him as an inventor of the bulb, but then he held 1,093 patents, and he also got rich through these patents. And he also set up a company, General Electric, which is now known as. This is also one very interesting beverage innovation related to a beverage that came from University of Florida. This is interesting because the team at the university, they saw that the football players were being affected by the heat, and they came out with a drink. And this drink was also then licensed. And if we see at the licensing fee, there was a small upfront fee of $25,000, and there was a small bonus of 5-cent royalty on every gallon sold. So 20% of the royalties would go to the University of Florida, only 20%. So, but then if we look at the outcomes, the royalties which flew to the university, they surpassed $1 billion in October by October 2015. So this is the kind of revenues that can be generated by the universities and also the innovators from their innovations. So this could be a motivation for working on innovations which can be commercialized. And there are also inventors who didn't take those steps and they didn't get rich, though they developed a very good innovation. So one such example is the inventor of the karaoke machines. He was a Japanese businessman, Daisuke Naoe. and he didn't patent and he didn't barely make a yen out of his innovation. So what is it that we need to do to think in commercial terms? In summary, we need to satisfy a customer need, solve a pain point. Based on that, we need to have a product or a process or a service. And we need to know what are the industry entry points, who are the key decision makers. And here I would also like to show what are the, what a successful spin-off must have, though these are similar, they work on similar themes. Then again, they would also need a market first, a viable business model and a plan, a very good team who could stay united and work on it, and then critical resource mass and a defensible technology, commercially feasible technology. So this is all about technology commercialization and aligning the research with the commercialization goals. And if I have time, I would also like to brief about my company, Biotech Consortium India Limited. So I guess I have time.
Yes, ma'am, you can continue.
Okay. So we are, I'm working as a deputy manager with Biotech Consortium India Limited, and Biotech Consortium India Limited was incorporated in 1990. And we are a brainchild of the Department of Biotechnology, Government of India. And we were set up by DBT as an agency who would facilitate commercialization of biotechnologies. So that was the primary and main goal of setting us up. And since then, it has been 30 years, and since then we have diversified into a number of service areas. But then IP management and technology transfer remains our core activity. These are our board of directors. So you can see here that the key nominees from premier research institutes are our guiding forces, and they come from DBT, CSIR, DST, ICAR, and the financial institutions and individual experts as well. So we have good linkages. We have established these with 30 years of experience working with international organizations, research institutes, universities, financial institutes, industry, central and state government also. So when we were established, it was Dr. Chandrasekhar, the then Prime Minister, who inaugurated our company. And here you can also see Dr. Manju Sharma, who was then Secretary, Department of Biotechnology. And we celebrated our Silver Jubilee in 2015, December. This is our MD, Dr. Purnima Sharma. She's interacting with the Prime Minister. And here she is releasing a book along with Dr. Amitabh Kant, CEO of the Niti Aayog. And these are the diverse areas where we are providing our services. Some of the flagship programs that we are managing for state or central governments. And our key clients include Department of Biotechnology, central government departments, state government departments, universities, international organizations also. And these are some of specific clients, ICMR, IITK. You can see 4 IITs here, and then BIRAC, RCB, DBT institutes such as THSTI, CDFD. So an interesting development recently has been that DBT, as part of their national biotechnology strategy, they had in mind of developing of setting up around 150 TTOs in the country. But then it narrowed down, and recently there was funding provided to around for setting up around 7 TTOs in the country, and BCIL is one of them. So we have recently this proposal has been approved, and we are now a TTO under the NBM BIRAC DBT system. And under this TTO, we would be providing or helping for developing a TTO ecosystem in the country, and we would be driving translation of innovations from concept to market. And here I would also like to mention that we are mandated to serve DBT institutes. There are 16 DBT institutes, but apart from them, we are also mandated to work on all the extramural projects that have been funded by the Department of Biotechnology. So that is why here I would like to say that if there are any faculties who are working on DBT funded projects, they can approach me or Dr. Sanchita, who is heading this TTO at BCIL. I'll be sharing my email, and you can email me or me with a copy to Dr. Sanchita. And I would like to end up with this slide that technology innovation and its commercialization is embedded in our culture. We worship Lord Ganesha along with Goddess Saraswati and Goddess Lakshmi together, which also, I mean, represent knowledge, which is coming from Goddess Saraswati, and based on that and using our intellect and wisdom that is granted to us by Lord Ganesha, we innovate, and these innovations are then patented or these patents are then commercialized to generate wealth and have blessings of Goddess Lakshmi. Thank you so much for patiently listening me out. I hope I didn't bore you much. And I would just say that one should, when preparing a research proposal, one should begin with the end in mind and conceptualize a product that would be coming to the market. Thank you so much.
Thank you, madam. Thank you, madam.
Thank you. Very nice. Very nice.
Lecture. I hope all the participants enjoyed the session, and madam has unfolded the activities of BCIL and helped us in identifying the route through which we can apply our proposal and which we can transfer of technology and become a successful startup. I hope this session has enlightened the knowledge of our participants. And on behalf of Oxford Engineering College and Department of Biotechnology and the organizers of FDP, I wholeheartedly thank ma'am for taking this session busy schedule, and request her to kind enough to permit us to include our name in our forthcoming phase 2 and phase 3 sessions also, so that our faculty who will be joining in the second and third phase also gets benefit of it. Thank you, madam, to your wonderful informative talk. Now I request the participants to unmute yourself and ask ma'am for any clarification.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, please.
Yeah, actually, it was so nice, and everything you have explained. So questions will be very less, I think so. And you have shown where we are actually facing the problem. So, so the thing is, yeah, you have shown all the problem why it cannot be commercialized. That you have explained actually very nicely. So that itself is a question, how to overcome that. You have shown each and every steps, how it is narrowed down and difficult for to product level. What are the difficulties? That itself is a question actually.
Yes, Dr. Sharon. So that is what the purpose is. I mean, if we can leverage, I mean, if the faculties can leverage my experience, our BCIL's experience, and develop better technologies, better commercialization, then nothing like it.
Okay, we will be in touch.
Any provision for signing an MOU with BCIL?
Sorry?
Is there any provision for signing MOU with BCIL, with the academic institution?
Yes, definitely.
And then we'll be looking forward to have that institution.
Sure, sure. Please write to
Me
us.
and Priya Sharan Madam will contact you after this, and we'll take up the task of signing an MOU so that it will be useful for our faculty.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Okay. So I'll be leaving the meeting then. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much. Wish you a very, very great day.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much.